Hey, what up, my peeps? It's your boy J-Rox up in this piece, coming at you once again. Right now, I'm gonna be hitting you with a review. We haven't done one of these in a minute. We'll be doing Wolverine by Larry Hamma and Mark Silvestri. This is the cover. This is volume 2. It's the spine right here. All right. Now, let me see what it covers. It covers issues. This is the 1988, the first ongoing of Wolverine, issues 38 to 46, and also a one-shot graphic novel type thing. Reign of Terror. That's kind of if you know Reign, the what's her face, Wolfsbane. It's kind of a story about her in like this fairy tale type land. It's has nothing to do with the rest of the book. It's kind of its own side story. But I guess we can review that too on the side. Okay, now I'm gonna try something a little different here. I'm gonna give you the first minute or so is gonna be spoiler free. I'm gonna give you my thoughts, my opinions on little stuff. And then after, I'll flip through some of the pages and get into the story, and we'll read along together, and I'll point out things as I see them on the page. Sounds good to you guys? And then you guys just post your comments if you read it, what you think, and so forth. Now this story starts off with what's her face, Lady Deathstrike. She just met up with Pierce. He's one of the main guys from the Reavers. He's one of the main guys from the Reavers. There's this gang of cyborgs. They have a lot of, they're not all human and they're not mutant. They kind of have a lot of cybernetic parts and so forth. They've been enhanced. And Lady Deathstrike, she's in cahoots with them right here. She's talking to them, and they picked up they got this scheme going. Now Pierce, if you're familiar with him, in case you don't know much about the X-Men mythos, Pierce is a guy that started off with the Hellfire Club. They're this mutant team, and he's kind of like a mutant, but then he's also cyborg. So now he's leading a team of cyborgs. And Lady Deathstrike's also like a mutant. She's like part of this Weapon X program, like much like Wolverine. And she's also half cyborg. She has cyborg robot parts in her. So it makes sense they start talking to each other, because they both have similar backgrounds and so forth. So they do the scheme, right? They're scheming and plotting against Wolverine. And they create this cyborg named Elsie. Little Elsie, she's a little girl, she's about 5, 6, but she's a ticking time bomb. She's there to pretend to be a dancer in distress, so when Wolverine saves her, boom, she'll blow up and get rid of him, you know? And they also create another cyborg called Albert. Now, Albert is a clone of Wolverine, but he's a robot, but he looks exactly like Wolverine, has claws and so forth. So they're a duo. And the one bad thing they did is they made the AI on these cyborgs, so advanced that these cyborgs start developing a mind of their own and feelings, and they start making decisions based on what's happening. They draw their own decisions instead of just following the orders they were programmed to follow. So they're like, we made the AI on these too advanced. Now they're starting to make their own decisions, which is crazy. Now they kind of lost control of their weapon, basically. And the story gets interesting there, because these guys go from villains to, I don't know if you want to call them anti-heroes, or to just rogues, or they just went to become their own thing. And they go from very plain and kind of lame to kind of likable characters by the end of the story, at least to me. They became kind of likable. I wish they sticked around a little longer. The art by Mark Silvestri is on point. You see his art in the Wolverine series get a lot better compared to how it was in the X-Men back in the days. I thought his art was okay, it wasn't that great, but when he got on the Wolverine series, I thought you really seen him get better and evolve and kind of get his own style. It was a lot different. So yeah, that's, I guess, the rough rundown, like I said, about what the story's about and what I thought about these characters. And Wolverine's typical Wolverine. You see him being very overprotective at times. Okay, so now we're gonna get into some spoilers. I'm gonna flip through some of the pages. All right, look at this. This is the cover to issue 39 back in May of 1990. I like looking at these. Like, check out that cover, and then check out this over here. Sometimes when done correctly, the remasters can look cool, but sometimes you want that nostalgic feeling, and you want it to be like it originally looked. You don't want it to look modern. You want it to look old school, like what you read coming up, But But here it's redefined and compared to this one. That's not always the case. Sometimes they screw it up. Alright, so this is the cover also to one of the covers of the other issues, and this one's remastered as well. Now here the story starts off with you see Storm right here. She's showing this wanted poster. Seen this guy? You wanna make a quick 10 grand? Carla. So clearly the police, he's wanted by the law, Wolverine. It just starts off here, doesn't say why he's wanted or anything, and it explains it later. They created this clone named Albert. He's a cyborg, and he looks exactly like Wolverine, and he's out there doing crime. You got these guys that are kind of lame. They're kind of like organized crime out there in where we at here? I want to say we're in Florida. I think we're out in Miami. See, so they recognize them, and they don't want to mess with Wolverine, but they're trying to make a quick buck. You know, they're like, hey, this guy's wanted. We could get the ransom and so forth. Now here's the other one, Albert and Elsie. This is they're the two cyborgs that were set up to stop Wolverine, and she's a ticking time bomb. She becomes a very likable character later on. Becomes almost like Wolverine's sidekick for a minute. Becomes kind of good, and Wolverine and Albert are both like her protectors, which are basically it's two Wolverines. And you know, Wolverine saying we can change her. She's not just a cyborg. They're like Storm's like she's just a robot. She's just a robot. Let's get rid of her. See here, she's faking it like she's a dance on the stress, so Wolverine could come along. And Wolverine says, no, she makes certain decisions based on instinct and based on what's going on around her. That ain't a robot to me. There's some human in there. And yeah, because the AI, it's kind of the age-old question. They ask that about robots too. If you make the AI so advanced that it can feel pain and other stuff, when does it stop being a robot and when is it just a human? I like what they did here with the art. So let's see how through the panels, he constantly keeps showing the time that the bomb is winding down. So it was a fun read. I enjoyed it. Very ground level. That's one thing I like about Wolverine when he's not with the X-Men. So very grounded. The stories they can almost be a TV show. It doesn't have to be big budget. Just like the movie doesn't have to be big budget. A Wolverine movie don't have to be over 100 million. It can stay under that all day. It can stay around 80. There's not a lot of special effects going on with him outside of the healing and the claws. Same with Punisher, same with Deadpool, same with Silver Sable. You can just have a cool action movie that doesn't have to rely so heavily on CGI and special effects. That's what a lot of these movies is, the special effects that people are drawn to, because superhero movies can do so much with that. And oh, look at this right here. Cable shows up later on right here as well. The cover right there. And Sabretooth. They just found a way to throw a bunch of extra characters up in there. Elsie, she bumps into Cable. She tries to take his gun away. That's kind of funny. He's like, what the hell? And then look at what she does here is a trip. She gets thrown to the water. I tell you, Sylvester's art's on point right here. It really captures the mood she's going for right here. It's kind of comedic in a way too. She takes off her head and tosses it at him, because clearly she's not a normal little kid. She's a cyborg. Now that's a little kid rolling with a big ass gun, just dumping on him. And she obviously causes a mess, but that's all she wanted was to open that door, because Wolverine's behind there, and so he don't drown. See, she let all the water out. She's back in his play. You know, she's riding with him now as opposed to trying to destroy him, because he saw her as more than just a cyborg. So she kind of she respects that, and she likes him now, and she's returning the favor. Wolverine does good. I like when they write his stories this way. He has a sidekick that he's kind of bringing along like his apprentice. I like when they do that. Here you see Elsie, she sacrifices herself. I'm not gonna get into too much into detail what she does here, but I'll get into this, but I'm not gonna get into why. She's stopping this from turning, and then in the process she's kind of gonna crunch herself, but it's gonna stop these things. So it made her a little more heroic and more likable. She just did two goods in a row. She saved Wolverine's ass, and then she stopped some big shit going down right here. So she starts becoming pretty cool. And just when you start wanting her to stick around longer, it looks like she goes sideways and she's not going to, which sucks. This story is very heavily reminded me of this is 1990, back when Terminator 2 came out. If you remember Terminator 2, when Arnold, he's a robot, he was a villain in part 1, part 2, he becomes good and he starts trying to protect John Connor. And John Connor's trying to teach him how to be human. So right when he starts becoming human towards the end, he starts knowing what pain is and starts having feelings, and you see him drop a tear. So right when he does that, it's like, wow, he's becoming human now. And they make him jump into the lava and just call it a day to sacrifice himself. Because if he has no feelings, you're not going to feel for that robot. You're like, it's a robot, he's not going to feel shit. So they make that right at the end so you could get invested in him. Like, that's fucked up. Now he has feelings and now he could feel pain. And now we're going to toss him in the lava. This has a lot of that going on where these cyborgs are... I think it was influenced because that movie was coming out at the time. So I kind of influenced him to make his own little story here, Larry Hamma. So yeah, I won't get too much into the rest of it. It still has another side story here with Reign of Terror. I just flipped to a few of the pages so you can see the art. See here on Reign of Terror is a lot different. It's a different artist. The different art. Let's see also you get some rough sketches here. Look at that. It still has like the tape and all that stuff. Like from the actual, like if you had an artist edition, it would have all this stuff from the actual OG pages in black and white. That shit was cool. I liked it. If they ever make Wolverine omnibus, I hope they keep a lot of this stuff in the bonus material. When they show the bonus material, I hope they show a lot of this. I found it very interesting and entertaining. Here's an old Wizard magazine. Now the Night of Terror story, it does it, or some of the old cards from 1990, I believe, no, 91. Now the Night of Terror story doesn't have nothing to do with the other story. That's the original cover, but it does it loads it in here because it's putting them in chronological order from when they came out, the day of publishing. So that story came out at around the same time as these issues. That's issue 41 and 42. So yeah, guys, if I had to grade this one, I'm gonna hit it with like a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. It was cool. Not the greatest Wolverine story, but it was fun. Definitely recommend picking it up, checking it out. Also, you got a good idea of the art. I like it. It's one of the better artists of the late 80s. And yeah, that's all I got for you. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, so it could notify you on your newsfeed about when my next video goes up. Also, on the description down below, check out those links. I got Goodreads. Follow me on Goodreads, and also follow me on Twitter. I'm always active on those two. And on what's it called? On Goodreads, every time I finish a new book, when I finish reading it, I post it up, I review it. It's a great place to keep track of your books. Any new book you get, put them on there, and it's a great place to keep track of which ones you've already read. You drop a review on there, that way you know you already read it, or drop a rating from 1 to 5. So if you got Goodreads, follow me, and also drop the link in the comment section of your Goodreads so I could follow you, because I'm always looking to follow new people and check out if we got the same books. Kind of want to see if you wrote a review to see what you thought about it, see how it differs from my opinion. Alright, so that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll check you guys out next time.